Okay, let me see. Let me work it out, sir. Ngayon ko lang gamitin ito. Hold on. May nakita na ba kayo? Or
Yes, sir. Nakita namin yung authorization and access control ganun, introduction.
okay, good morning everyone. For Chris and Mark, it's again for your information. It's kahapon nag-upgrade ako ng Windows 11 version. I think it was 22H2, and nagka-problema ako kaya I was so stressed out last night. And yeah, I went to bed late and buti na recover ko. I did backed out yung upgrade, and then yung na-recover ko itong mga files. So the latest upgrade sa Windows 11 is 22H2. Maraming issues kaya uh, wait till a few weeks or before you upgrade your systems. So anyway, for my topic, it's authorization and access control. I will be talking about the process, the purpose, the definitions of access control. I'll also be presenting the access control process, the types of control. Oh, hold on. And I'll be showing also some statistics that I found on the internet regarding about uh, the job forecast for cybersecurity and data growth in the future. So it's let me start this by authorization. Authorization is the process that we identify who we are before logging into the system and getting into the file systems and to the networks and uh, other resources. Authentication is it is an essential and an effective security part of this system, while access control is the granting of the privilege and rights on which resources you can view, uh, modify, or update. Access controls, it regulates who and what we can do to use resources in a computing environment. Yeah, I'm just gonna be going with this paragraph by paragraph kasi hindi ko nagawa ang PowerPoint. So, bear with me. The goal of access control is to minimize the security risk of hackers and unauthorized access to our computer environments. And the purpose of the control is to secure the confidentials and anything that pertains to both logical and physical controls. It's also physical restriction is the practice of restricting entry to a building, to a computer room, to restricted areas, or unauthorized only entry. Okay, we covered this. Access controls also prevents from accessing data and resources, which are the most and significant risks to the data world. Access controls, we process is we identify ourselves and gets into the system for authentication. The system or the managers, or it's what they call it. It's the software managers that verifies the authentication returns if we are okay to access the system or not, and then if we are okay to access, and then we are have the ability to view files and review files. On the process of the access control, since I did some IT audit before too, I added here the accountability on the access control. Whereas we can review who accessed or the logical records or who modified some files, who made changes. And I'll be discussing also the types of controls, the access control lists, and all these fives, the role-based, attribute-based, find and curse access control. With those things, I also added the discretionary access control role-based, and also for the mandatory access control, which is used strictly mostly in the government and military services. For the labels of controls, we have a logical and physical. Logical is your access to your computer environment, your systems, your file systems, while physical is your access to the control room, data centers, and restricted access. Okay, how access is granted? First, we do identify or who the user is, and then we will do the authentication, and we have the authorization. And I have the graph out here that will show the process. This is your initial entry for opening a session, which requires us to input our username and password, and it goes to a authentication server. Authentication server checks the directory or the account management system. If it's okay, it returns back to the server, and returns also returns a token to your user ID to access the file servers. Okay, there's one thing they added about accountability. It's the process for the service or resource provider to generate records against subjects activities so that accountability can be enforced. This is a part on the IT auditing side. Here are the models of the how access are controlled. We have the access control list. That list specify user widths of or users that are granted or denied access to a particular object or the system resource. A graphical user to that is a user wants to get into a file server. It goes to a router, and the routers also have had a program that a user can or IP address as a user say that can access the server. On the rule-based access control, this is a control that focuses on the associated with the data's access and restrictions. These rules may be a parameter such as access only from certain IP address, denying or access from certain addresses. Rule-based can be controlled and implemented on a file systems level, restricting data access to hours or business hours only. Here's a graph for a role-based access control. If you have a new employee or a manager request addition to his or her group or to a department, to a system administrator, which gives or grant specific or appropriate rules to the requesting users or the managers, and that rules based on the company's policy or department's policy to get a permission to look at certain specific file system. The attribute control system, it's a model that evaluates attributes or characteristics rather than to determine access. The purpose of the RBAC is to protect objects such as the data and network services, and those that don't have approved characteristics of a defined organization's security policy. When it comes to attributes, uh, you're looking at certain particular ones. So uh, if you are a job title, if you're an engineer or if you're a doctor, you can only access certain parameters. Also, it's based on a resource, classification of files, who owns the files, environmental attributes uh, based on locations, the device type that you have, actions attributes. Again, these are for your file access if you want to read, write, or review and do some other modifications. It's fine grained access is a method of controlling who can access certain data. It uses more variable methods than allowing access. Here's a sample of a fine grain. If a user wants to get a particular data, he can specify uh, any subject specifically on a particular area or items that the user needs.
Hindi ko marinig yung tungkol.
Whereas compared to a coarse grain access control, this is the opposite access control, to which a user can be determined by a single property, example, a job role, departments, or where you're located at. Other access controls that I added is the discretionary access control. This model access restricts based on the identity and subject and our other group which they belong. The DAC also gives subject a full control of objects that they have created or some given access to, including objects other than file system. Here's a graphical illustration for a discretionary access control. The owner of a file or a program give access to particular users and also access to where the data resides. The rule-based access control. This I think it's an extension of the RBAC. This model is based on meeting a certain set of rules versus just the identity-based access control. On these illustrations here, we have different departments, whereas this will illustrate that a finance cannot access or only given limited access to a certain file resources. Different between the rule and the rule is the rule is the program's regulation and practices. So just like some people in the IT can only work on the weekends. This is a time restricted for maybe for preventive maintenance for the system, or any sales could only work restrict them to work just during the weekdays. So that's the rule base. It's the regulation and the principle, while the rule is the user's part in the program, the programmer's responsibility. Rule base. Okay, I just explained this one too. It's mandatory access control. This is the more stricter access control, whereas it's access to control the operating. I mean, it's controlled by an administrator who can configure it in the system. This is the access control that I mentioned earlier that's been used at the military and government services. The access controls, mandatory access control called MAC, have layers of privilege levels that are assigned to certain files that are equal to or maybe higher on their privileges. Other base that I have here, but I don't have the illustrations, is a context-based access control feature of firewall software that filters the TCP and you do the packets based on application layer protocol session. Again, these are restriction that, let's say, only IP address ending in .001 to .0050 can access certain or can go through a router address assignment. Graph-based access control. This is a declarative way to access rights, tasks, and recipient and contents of an information. I haven't seen that much use on this one yet. The next one is the lattice-based access control. Is also a model based on the interaction between combinations of objects and subjects. Labels of control, again, it's the logical and the physical. I also added these items right here for the physical access control for, again, they use this for on a big company data centers to control or data centers or any clean room or any restricted room to restrict access only to authorized personnel who can enter that premises. Again, as for the physical controls, we have manual access, the mechanical, electronic, megatronics is a combination maybe of the mechanical, electronics, and the physical access. It's manual access control. I would think that it's these are the door locks or the padlocks. Mechanical controls are what's this one here? Just like the rotating doors that some data centers have. Electronic, it's this is your badge access or key figure entry. Again, it's mechatronics. It's just a combination of mechanical and electronics, physical access controls. Mostly that what we have right now. It's are the badge ID, and I've seen some other data centers that are using biometrics now on a high security area. Next one I will discuss is about the results of the unauthorized or failure to prevent or avoid the authorization and access control. In the last few years, there's been a lot of data breaches. Data breaches are some unauthorized access that are happening worldwide between us big and small companies. I found some statistics that are interesting to me. That on the numbers, I mean, again, these are the stats that maybe will encourage you to continue and finish and specialize in cybersecurity education and for your professional careers. In 2021, there were about 1,864 data breaches, which did expose more than 212 million user records were exposed. Cybercrime, it did damage. big companies. I mean, this is a total accumulated amount of 6 trillion in 2021. That was last year, and still will. It's predicted to grow about at least twice as much in the coming years. I mean, this amount includes the big money, the ransomware that hackers are demands for the big companies. There was about 173 billion in global spending on cybersecurity this year so far. Again, it's big companies are looking into more modern access controls, biometrics, or what the second factor authentications. Those are examples that are coming up on some other companies. By 2023, we are expected to be there's about what 1.3 billion of what is this the Internet of Things subscriber. Again, these are the users that use uh, access to some certain subscription. Let's say for cloud data for storing subscription for what do you call it? This the personal items and IoTs. Any subscription that what's a good example for this one? Just like Alexa or data related equipments. Uh, Here's a big one that's coming up too. The digital world expected to grow and store 200 zettabytes of data by 2025. Zettabytes is I looked at it. It's how many? It's about 21 zeros. Uh, 100 plus one plus what? It's 7 zeros behind that. It's stunning growth of data and big increases. There are about 750 jobs request cybersecurity related skills in 2022, and this is only for the U.S. Company figures. Uh, the way I looked at it now is that threat and authorized access will always be here, and threat it leads to a cybercrime or malware infections that damages the business interruptions. Business interruption will cost big money and big payments, ransom payments for big companies. This big cost will in turn about in return, big companies will need to have data protection, and for us, the cybersecurity profession. I mean, not us. I mean, the cyber professionals. That means it's gonna be jobs will be in demand in I would say in the next 10 years. I mean, it was projected that by a Bureau of Business Statistics in the U.S. that cybersecurity jobs will uh, increase by 33% in the next 10 years. Several companies now are using the Identity and Access Management Tool, or the IAM. This is model is designed to manage, identify, and access for authentication and authorization. This is, I think, it's standardized a set policies, tools, applications that defines and maintains who has access to what digital resources. Again, the new IAM is goal is to streamline the management and user accounts and privileges from all aspects. IAM is being used now by Amazon. Google Clouds, and the Microsoft Azure uh, uh, systems. Benefits of access controls: ease of access for employees. If you had the access control, that used to be that we check the badge, or you go to a security, they write your name or the time that you get in, you get out. Get rid of the traditional keys. Again, it's when you have your biometrics, when you have your fingerprints, it's easier than pulling out your keys or anything that would grant you an access to entry to a facility. It saves money and energy. It saves money is because it's quicker, it's faster for getting using this access control, and the system will keep tracks on who comes in and who comes out of the premises. And again, for some people who don't have access, it will prevent them from getting into the premise and prevent against again it's formed for the prevention for data breaches and unauthorized access. About discussions, actions to access control failures typically lead to an unauthorized information disclosure, data modification, or destruction of data. I mean, for the hackers to perform business function outside the user limit. External threat becomes more important as the company's network extend to supplier customers and to some third-party partners in the business. Challenges to access control. It's for dynamically managing distributed systems. I have this problem just because I've been storing my password on my password manager software because I couldn't keep up with knowing all the passwords from my personal, my work, and my military access. Password fatigue. Also, again, it's how many times you could use certain passwords, or where can you use it. Most of the time, thing that I know, it requires about password change every, I think it's 90 days minimum. Compliance, visibility through consistent reporting. Uh, there's not an industry compliance consistency as far as reporting. It's because level one failure and level two failure may be a different from different companies' determination. Centralized directory and avoiding application spread data storage. Okay, this is where you have different locations of data storage and might be using different passwords. Data governance and reporting. It's probably same as the consistency out here. Strengthening authorization measures. Uh, we have seen again it's biometric. It's in use. Yet multi-factor authentications. Determining the control models. Again, I've seen a lot more uh, control models than what we discussed previously in this presentation. It's a lot of lists. I've seen a new uh, names. I've seen other classifications. So it's. Uh, I hope we have a consistency as far as industry consistency as far as control access models. The future of the access control will increasingly rely on mobile technology. This is true. It's again for every uh, cell phones that we have, we put a password, PIN codes. Every laptops that we have, we do the same thing. Lock code, PIN codes, and all personal things that we need to protect. This was the convergence of IT, cybersecurity, and physical access control. There is a spike on hybrid and remote work over the past years that influenced by the organizations invest in access control technology. Remote access to a system from anywhere makes a remote or flexible workforce easier to manage. Uh, Again, if especially for those, we now have the telework, the work from home ability. So controlling access from maybe using a VPN or the private or virtual private networks, the cloud and multi-cloud data storage here to stay. Security is more migration on premise on the cloud access control systems. As I've mentioned before, it's again the different locations and different access codes, access control models that are being used. Touchless access control technology also trends a few years ago that the pandemic led to a seismic shift in perception of touch. Now, the touchless automatic entry system is a must-have for about almost everywhere. I mean, it's uh, future of access control. Uh, Even in the credit cards now, they have these what do you call it, the IC, so the integrated chip that you just swipe or you just touch on the reader will get the informations. Multi-factor authentication and biometrics LCR is going access control. Okay, we're also looking at the advantage of analytics. Artificial intelligence or the AI are making it easier for and faster for organization to find and relevant data patterns and actionable insights across all the security buildings. Again, this is what I mentioned about the stunning growth of digital data, which they're expected to see a growth by 200 zettabytes by 2025. So it's access control and data protection. It's what the big companies want, and for the cybersecurity professionals, the jobs will be out there. It will be in demand the next 10 years. Like I said, it's a forecast. There's a 33% growth on job requirements for cybersecurity. Oops, that's the end.
Okay, thank you very much, Sir John, and congratulations. And specifically, thank you for introducing some new control models. And although I'm not sure if Sir Clarence and Sir Chris Mark were so parang convinced to become cybersecurity experts because you have shown us that how much 6 trillion damage or caused by maybe
Kakatakot, sir.
ransomware. Baka mas gusto na ni
Yeah.
Sir Clarence and Sir Chris Mark na mag-develop na lang ng
Nakakatakot.
ransomware. Mas
No,
malaking pera sa
I have
ransomware.
yeah, I have some more statistics that I'd like to show that I did on my other projects. There are a lot more convincing and intriguing, exciting statistics when it comes to cybersecurity.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I mean, it's if you know cybersecurity, you have a life, you have a job for life.
yeah. Oo, talagang
It's
ano na yan.
let me see if I could find it, sir.
Pero parang gusto na yata ni Sir Chris Mark at saka Sir Clarence
No,
gumawa talaga ng
it's
ransomware.
the yes, it's the
Malaking
other.
pera.
Pero
It,
nakakatakot,
Oo,
sir.
na.
no, I mean it builds up on your expertise. I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
once you oh here is this one. I think nandito siya. I have some more
Okay, sige, sige, Sir Clarence.
uh,
Go on.
interesting data out here. Okay, just like this one out here too. This is what we consume in a day, as far as data is concerned. So you have what 500 million tweets that are sent every day. This is a worldwide figure. 24 billion emails are sent every day. 3.9 billion people use emails. We have 4 petabytes of data created by Facebook alone. 4 terabytes of data produced by connected cars. I mean, these are for your GPS, GIS systems. 44 zettabytes will be accumulated on with the data. It's what is this? 65 billion messages sent. 5 billion Google searches were made every day. It's 460 exabyte of data will be created every day by 2025. It's 28 petabytes will be generated on wearable devices. This is what we see of data activity every minute. These are good numbers. And I mean, to me, I mean, I found it so exciting when I see all of this graph during my research on the other projects that I have. Malware, and again, it's as unauthorized access leads to a malware injection. And these are the threat intelligence that needs to be improvement, that needs to be what supported, maintained by cybersecurity professionals. It's a big numbers. Okay, here's one more that I have. Uh, cybersecurity magazines projected there will be what 3.5 million jobs opening in cybersecurity field by 2025. This number is a worldwide figure, not just US. Cybersecurity Ventures also looked at unfilled cybersecurity jobs. This is 35% actually. 35% of job cyber related requests were unfilled. That was last year. Okay, the U.S. has a total employee requirements in cybersecurity of more than 1 million people, and there are about 600,000 jobs. Oops, more serious again. That are unfilled. This is just a U.S. This is a U.S. Figure. Okay, it's also predicted that security analyst will be the fastest growing occupation in the next decade. I think this is a worldwide figure. Just in India alone, there are 1.5 million cybersecurity jobs predicted by 2025. Okay, here's what the big companies are doing now. Microsoft, IBM, Amazon, they are offering free job trainings for cybersecurity because they cannot attain their hiring quota or the hiring numbers. So they are offering. I mean, with the labor shortage in cybersecurity, they are offering a free training. And before I left 6 months ago, I've already seen it. Even the military even are offering a free training. Here's Microsoft is investing 20 billion over the 25 years in cybersecurity. Google is 10 billion in the 5 years. What is this? Okay, Google ran a Wall Street advertisement that they need 100,000 people for vital jobs in privacy and security. IBM is also training 150,000 here in cybersecurity. In a survey of, I think it was more than 1,000 managers, their most concern and comments is that at least it takes 6 months to find a qualified cybersecurity candidates for an open position. Okay, this is a US figure. Oh, actually, I included the Philippine average too. 75,000, at least is the average for, was it the entry or early level of cybersecurity. I've seen an average in the Philippines. I think where did I got it? It's payscale.com. Average is showing at 392,000 salary annually. And this is a code that I also found in one of the things that I found. If you know cybersecurity, then you have a job for life. Workforce challenges. Here they are. It's 63%. I think it's a worldwide figure here. Have unfulfilled job in 63%. That's in cybersecurity positions. 62% reported that their cybersecurity teams are understaffed. 52%, what is this? Require university degrees for entry level. Again, so we are starting to learn cybersecurity. So it's, I mean, for me, I didn't look at this. I didn't touch this cybersecurity when I was still in the workforce, but I am really stunned or excited about these figures that I was able to research. Okay, 60% managers have difficulty in finding the right professions. Here's a growth in data. In 2021, there were about 4.95 billion active social users worldwide. It's about 2.5 quintillion data created every day. It's this, it's okay. That's a users at Google's. 2022, there were about 650 million tweets every day. 2022, okay, that, I mentioned that. Okay, here's a big growth too. 2023, they're expected that 1.3 billion Internet of Things subscriber. By 2025, we're looking at, I think this is a zettabyte. It's a mistake for me. Oh no, that's right. And here's the zettabytes. 2025, we're looking at predicted of 200 plus zettabytes will be in the cloud storage. Oh, here's the other thing that I talked about earlier. Cybersecurity salary in the Philippines. I got it from the pscale.com, and here's your average here for the job salary range and the average. Information security manager. I mean, I've never seen what a salary of over 1 million here annually in the Philippines. Compared to the U.S., here are salary averages for in the U.S. I mean, these are big monies. Okay, here's the 33% growth in the next decade. Here's that AI and virtual reality. Okay, 64 there. Okay, I think those are some good statistics that maybe when you have your cousins, your brothers, your sisters to go to IT, or if you have a friends in out there in the school to encourage them to invite them to go to IT because there is a tremendous high paying jobs requirements in the future to come. I mean, they're looking at 2025. I mean, that's only less than 3 years away. And also, I've seen or I've talked to some other friends that I have here, which were employed by US based companies. I mean, it's remote work and telework is already here. Possibility that if US cannot hire enough people out there, they will go to third world countries that understand cybersecurity for to support uh, their data. It's at oh, here's the figures that I have it too. We are out here. It's zettabytes. It's 200 zettabytes in 2025. That's right here. That's 21 zeros. Oh, here's another good indications out here. So a zettabyte, it's a 2 to the 70th power, which means also it's 1 zettabyte is equal to 1,000 exabytes or 1 billion terabytes or 1 trillion gigabytes. That's how big a zettabyte is. Oh, here's that other thing that I've seen too. This is that 6 trillion uh, cost that uh, was taken from or mostly the ransomware. We're looking at what 6 trillion a year and 500 billion a month. It's what is this 6 billion a day and so forth. And these are exciting numbers. I mean, to me, it's what else I need like to share to you. I mean, there's a lot more out here, but I think we're gonna be running out of time. But if you want, I could send you my other research that talk about job opportunities, good paying jobs, the forecast predictions on cybersecurity. Again, it's access control, authentication, and security. We are part of it, and that's why I mentioned that on my presentation. It's because I mean I'd like something for you to encourage yourself to stay on this job or finish the course or invite other students to go to the IT cybersecurity. Well, it's again, it's I could share this to you if you want. For so I wouldn't take all that much time for my discussions out here. That's all, sir.
Okay, so thank you very much, sir. So thank you for sharing with us those statistics. So do you have a quick reaction, Sir Clarence, Sir Chris Mark? Baka may reaction or anything you want to share? I think we have about 2 minutes left kasi 1 hour na yung sa Google ano natin.
Wala
So,
naman na po, sir.
wala na, sir. Sir Chris Mark, wala na.
Same here, so wala rin po.
Okay, so again, I have placed some supplemental videos in our Google Classroom. Please view them. Uh, yung authorization and access control, it starts with some of the topics already doon sa previous topic, yung pag-create pa lang ng user. So after creating the user, you can assign actually privileges because if you just create a user, he will just be able to log in sa database, di ba? Pero uh, wala pa siyang magagawa. So you have to assign privileges to users. And then, yan, nandiyan din yung paano mag-create ng roles and how to manage roles. I think I have placed them in the video. So these are examples of how to uh, do some specific uh, access control and authorization using MySQL. Of course, uh, parang example lang yan because you're not sure of what database you will be using, for example, in the industry if kung sakali nakalagay sa industry. Okay, so I think we're running out of time. May 1 minute na lang yata. So, yan. Again, congratulations, Sir John, and uh, virtual applause para kay Sir John. Uh, Again, congratulations, Surgeon, and virtual applause para kay Surgeon. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. And I think we're running out of time. So thank you very much, and have a nice day ahead. Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you po, sir, and congrats, Sir John.
Okay, thank you. Welcome.